Hi, my name is Lauren. Whoa. Hi, Charliah back in the hood, bringing you some good. Today we are with the editor from Quarter Life Crisis. You can introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Shreeya. I edited Quarter Life, and yes.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say much else.
Okay.
There are questions.
Okay, what was your process when editing? Because I know you were editing weekly, and I know that you're also working on your thesis film. Not thesis, your
My
intermediate.
Yes.
At the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Crazy throwback.
Yeah.
So this was fall semester of junior year, and that's like the semester, or when people do their intermediate, that's like the hell semester, or I forget. I feel like people had a term for it, but when you start it, like you're on set every weekend because you want to be on everybody's intermediate, and that's where you learn your limit of you can't be on set every weekend because you need to be resting. But I was on set every weekend, and I know obviously you were also on set every weekend doing Quarter Life. But I also knew that I wanted to edit, and the turnaround time of Quarter Life was to have a rough edit of each episode as it was shot by the next week, so it could be screened in class.
Yeah.
I was never there for the actual screenings. I was aware that I had to send it in at a certain time.
Yeah.
And the good thing was that I didn't have to do any of the syncing of the video and the audio. I just had to. Well, 1 week I did, and that was horrible. I just had to do the aspect of putting together the rough cut, and because of the fact that typically weekends would be ideal for me to edit, I was like, I have to find another time to do that during the week. So what happened is I would designate one night a week to be my all-nighter night. And I was living in a dorm with 7 other people at the time. So I'd go down to the little basement and I'd like set myself up. I'd have like a little bottle of tea, and then I'd have my computer like plugged in to its charger because my computer dies really easily. And it also would crash every like 5 seconds. And I had my hard drive in, and I'd just like lock in. I'd reach like my flow state. And I mean, it wasn't always like a true all-nighter.
Yeah.
But I would be up until like 3 or 4 at least. But then I'd have my edit. And then, I'd go to class the next morning and I'd try not to like pass out. But it worked out for me.
It did, yeah. Because then also...
I don't regret it.
Because I was also... I didn't even realize it was just like one night out of the week that you were like just pulling an all-nighters. That's intense. Because
it's like, it's my AC powered hard drive, right? So you have to plug it into the wall and you have to plug it into the computer. And then I was editing off of Avid, and Avid, in my opinion, can be quite finicky. And so it felt more time effective to just set up everything once a week and just like finish it all in one sitting. Because if I had to do that multiple times, I feel like I would lose the momentum of the workspace.
Yeah. I'm trying to like mentally think of, okay, so like what was it like usually like a Tuesday or whatever, or it would like depend on the week?
I can reference my calendar. I think it depended on the week. I can tell you as soon as I remember exactly what my classes were.
Yeah.
Because so I was taking intermediate, and at some point during that class, you stop having to go to one of the classes in person because that's technically the day that was reserved for your texts. Okay. Wow. No, I'm getting a headache looking at my own calendar. Okay. So that's useless because I'm not sure I actually put into my schedule when my all-nighters were. Because like then it does that weird thing that Google Calendars does where it like splits between the days.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it would have been like either a Tuesday or a Thursday. When did I need it for your class?
That's what I was trying to think of too. I think
you know what? It was no. It would have been like Monday or Tuesday.
Because we shot on the weekends.
I would have done it as soon as it got synced.
Yeah.
So it would have been a Monday or a Tuesday. Tuesday probably.
How was it like editing? Because was this the first time that you edited a project that wasn't your own? Or was this something you're like familiar with before?
So it was the biggest project at that point that I had edited that wasn't my own. I had gotten practice editing other people's projects First Sight and Sound, which was like much less shots, a lot less, well, no audio for the most part, like no synced sound. And it was kind of just like, a lot of it was not necessarily experimental. There were less stakes, I guess.
Yeah.
There was a lot more wiggle room for those. And a lot of those were also like my friends. So like Janelle, I edited, like I definitely edited one of her Sight and Sound projects. I don't remember if I edited more. But yeah, Quarter Life would have been the first project I did at the intermediate level that I was editing for someone else.
Wow.
Yeah.
How was that? Like, how was it? Because you weren't in the class.
Yeah.
And you also didn't get the script before editing. Like, you didn't... Or, like, I don't know if I sent you the pitch deck before or...
I don't remember. So, at the time, I was living with Janelle. So, a lot of the information that I had gotten about Quarter Life was from experiencing her as a director and writer. Talk about it with me. Because we didn't really know each other that well at that point.
That's crazy to think about. Oh my god.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
But
you didn't really know her.
Yeah.
Wait, was that the first semester that you lived with her? Or like
no,
the first year?
So we actually lived together sophomore year too, which is where kind of like the Sight and Sound collaboration
Okay.
too. Yeah, so definitely I experienced Quarter Life through her eyes first, which was a lot of her figuring out her process in taking someone else's story.
Yeah.
Like, so it was interesting because like I saw her doing it, and then dealing with the opinions of other people, which, because it's a very collaborative class.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the most collaborative classes in NYU, because it's like, because we don't really have group settings, group projects like that. Well, like everything ends up being a group project, but I feel like this is the class that makes you, this and also advanced TV. It's the production class that is like, here is your crew. And I think that's cool because there's something good about getting to work with people and like adapt to them, but then that's also a difficulty because not only was it then the first project that I'd edited for someone else at that level, but I was also then dealing with, and they all came through you because you were communicating with me. But I was, at the end of the day, dealing with the opinions of a lot more people who all had an equal stake in this project. Somewhat equal stake in this project. And I had never even had to deal with like one or two people's opinions like that on my editing, much less 10. But still like a good practice. I think I appreciated that, even if at the time it was harder, because now suddenly, like I feel like in editing, you're always at some point going to disagree with what the director wants. And you still like, you know, it's worth trying it out and stuff. And so now there was like quite a few different opinions coming at me where I was like, I don't actually necessarily know if that would work. And now here's these two opinions that are conflicting with each other. Like, you know, people wanted different things. But it was kind of coming through you, so I don't feel like I dealt with the brunt of it. I feel like a lot of those discussions happened in the classroom, and I wasn't there. There's a part of me that, like, maybe I would have liked to be there one of those times, but I also just don't think it would have worked out with my schedule. No. So I'm not, like, torn up about that.
That's fair. Thanks. So you were talking about, like, the notes from the class, which I forgot were even... a factor for some reason. I don't know why I blanked that out.
Well,
or blocked that out.
Actually, let me rewind a little bit, because you're right in the sense that they weren't really a factor at first. Because like it wasn't like I was giving an episode and then you guys were giving me feedback and then I'd give that episode again. It was that I was going from doing episode 1, giving it to you guys, forgetting that it existed, going to episode 2, forgetting that it existed, and then doing all of that. And then at the end of the day, it came back to all of them to do those like notes that I was getting. So like, just, I mean, that's a quick clarification that like, I wasn't making the changes to the previous edits while doing the new ones. I waited until the very end of the semester when all of the footage had already been shot to then go back and make those changes. So I think that was another reason why I wasn't so affected by the volume of opinions, because at that point I feel like they had lessened just because over time.
I'm trying to think also, like, were there any, I don't know, is there like a moment in the edit or like in the show like that you were like, oh, that's one edit that I'm like really proud of, or like your favorite moment
At this point, did the third episode already come out?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So this happened, I think, pretty late in the process. It's interesting. There's a lot of like milestones in terms of drafts for Quarter Life. I feel like there was the drafts that we watched through at the end of 2023 with the rest of your class.
Yeah.
And I did go to that, but that was like very like the LUTs were still on all the stuff.
Yeah.
I think I just made the graphic title cards.
Yeah.
Which was fun. I really liked that.
That was really good.
And there was no sound design.
No.
There was no sound design.
No sound.
And like I don't do sound. So
Yeah.
I maybe put in like a couple of sound effects and I called it a day. I don't even remember if I did that, to be honest. I think I did the bare minimum that could indicate where like sound needed to be. And then the second milestone would be there was the screening of all of the TV Bootcamp shows, and that was May 2024. And the months leading up to that were me making those more specific changes.
Yeah.
And then sound happening and color. And the interesting part of this was that this was my first time working with deliverables, like giving people deliverables for sound. Yeah. And I was also coloring. So that was the second one. And the third one being now. Yeah. That you're actually releasing them. And a lot happened between the second one and the third one. Well, a lot happened between like the first and the second too, but there's a lot more tweaks that happened between the second and the third that has been going on like this entire time. Which brings me back to my point where it was such a small thing, but there was this scene in the third episode in the studio that annoyed all of us.
Yeah.
That because for the life of me, like the timing was just not working. It
Are you talking about
when
she's like singing or something? Yeah.
That's the third episode, right?
That is the third episode. And it's not in there anymore.
When he brings her into the studio, there is an extended after he tells her to get in the booth, there was a whole scene after that where she's like testing out her singing to the beats, but because of like, and it's not really a major fault to you guys, it was just what you guys had at the time, is you didn't really have the beats you were working with, and you didn't know what she was going to be singing because you had such a short amount of time. But it showed because there was really not a great way to coordinate what she was ad-libbing at the time to what actually ended up being the song. Yeah, and I was just looking at this for a really long time between like milestone 1 and milestone 2, being like, how do I like fix that? And at the second screening, I was like, I genuinely hate the scene. And again, my first time really like editing something for someone else. And I think after the second milestone, I remembered that I had like free will and I just cut that scene.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting with you and I was like, isn't this so much better? And I remember like we were just both like, wow, this is so much better. But at that, like before that, I never considered the idea that you can just cut a scene if you don't like it. Yeah. And now I do that all the time. I think there's like so much, I didn't realize how much writing doesn't make it to the final cut. I did it for my own thesis where like I cut 3 minutes worth of my film because I was like, I don't know that. Yeah, it was at 15 and now it's at 12.
Whoa, wait.
Yeah, and like, because sometimes you don't need it.
Yeah.
And it can be hard to cut that because you put work into it, which is why you get another editor because they don't care.
Yeah, that's true.
When I cut it, I was so happy. I was like, I wasn't there when it was shot, and I have no attachment to the scene.
That's true.
And now it's gone. And you were also happy, which is good. I think enough time had passed where you were like, this doesn't work, and you let me do it. So I appreciate that. But so that's the edit that I'm proud of. Not even because it wasn't complex. All I did was delete something, which is objectively less work. Yeah. But I was proud of myself because I'd like learned the skill of deleting something.
Yeah. Of like, what's like the thing?
Work smarter, not harder is what I feel like I did. Yeah. Because like probably there were ways to make that scene work that required like ADR and like all of these extra things. but you know.
Then it's like at the end of the day, like the scene wasn't really accomplishing anything. That like it doesn't, I don't know, pay for later. That like,
exactly. I also do think that makes the mystery of it better.
Yeah.
Like what she is making.
Like what is
more of a reveal, and yeah, I think it makes the final episode, which hasn't come out yet, better.
Are there because did you take an editing class before all that? So wow.
I was also just waiting for you to set me up with the story that I want to tell.
Really?
And I do think this works as my setup. I've been waiting. I was like, I'm waiting for the question that I'll have the story that I can, which I feel like most people know at this point.
Oh, the Avid
situation. So I never took an editing class at NYU. My editing experience is from high school, where I was lucky to take a media class where they teched us on using Adobe. Mm-hmm. And from there, I was really into the editing process and I kept using it. And then obviously NYU gives it as well. So I continued kind of, even my first freshman year, I was messing around with different effects in Adobe. And I really liked it. And something that I heard about the first editing class was that a lot of it is repeat information if you already know how to use Premiere. But the part that people really like about it is that you get to learn how to use Avid. And Avid is the program that gets used by TV Bootcamp because of its compatibility between different collaborators. So it's technically easier to keep the fidelity of your clips between sending it to different people. I'm not sure I'm explaining that to the best of my extent, but that's my understanding of why they use Avid, because for the life of me I can't understand any other good reason to use it, because I don't like Avid and it crashes my computer and it's not intuitive in the way that I feel like DaVinci or Adobe is. So I never took a class, but when TV Bootcamp was happening, the way that it works is that people in editing 2 will edit intermediate projects and people in editing 3 will edit advanced projects. And there was a deficit of people in editing 2 at the time. So no one wanted to edit a few of the TV Bootcamp projects. So again, I was living with Janelle at the time. I think she was the one who brought it up to me. Because I had edited some of her projects. Yeah. And then I was like, oh yes, I'm interested in editing this. And then I had a meeting with the editing 2 professor. And he was great. He was very helpful to me. He was also the person who was syncing the audio for me. Because typically 2 students from each editing class would do a project together. But there was literally like none. So he was functioning as the other student, syncing the audio to the footage and sending it to me, which took out like so much time. I probably would have had to pull the 2 all-nighters if I also had to do that. And I remember going to do a meeting with him, and I didn't know, again, my background is in like Adobe. I was not aware before doing this that I would have to use Avid. And I panicked during the meeting because he was like, oh, by the way, we use Avid. What's your experience with that? And I just went like, oh yeah, I've used Avid before. He was like, oh, okay, great. Like, and I was like, you know, like, I feel like pretty confident. I was trying not to lie too hard. So I used very broad terms. So I was like, I feel pretty like knowledgeable in a lot of different editing softwares and their interfaces. And even though I'm not the most experienced in Avid, I do feel like I could adapt pretty well to it. The reason I don't feel bad saying this now and the fact that I lied is because I did follow through. Yeah, like it would have been horrible if I wasn't able to like walk the talk, but I did. That week, I've never watched so many YouTube videos on how to use Avid in my life. And I think like I was staying up late just like on my computer being like, how do I use this? How do I use this? I was going to the editing labs being like, okay, but I couldn't really do much until I had the footage. I mean, I could have just pulled random footage from the internet, but if we're being honest, like the time, I just didn't have that amount of time to like do it in practice. Yeah. So I was like, I'm just going to get the footage and I'm going to figure it out. And yeah, so I figured it out. I didn't have an editing class. I'm a big believer of using YouTube videos to help you edit. But also, like, if you need a more structured routine, you should definitely take an editing class. But I wanted to fill my schedule with classes that were either production classes or had to do with, like, camera, because I don't own, I probably will never own like a camera, like, I mean, like
the big
crazy like example, but like the mini, like,
yeah,
I'm never gonna own one. So I would love to take classes that let me use stuff like that, and let me use the units of light and things like that. And I didn't feel like my schedule would lack anything if I didn't take editing classes, and I still stand by that. I
think I did know that you didn't use Avid before, but you're right. Like, it didn't it didn't affect anything on our end.
Yeah,
it was
on
like,
your end, on my end, I was like, every time it crashed, there was this idea where I was like, oh, because I don't know this software, I must be doing something wrong. And I learned just by doing it, like because I don't know, a little less than proficient in Avid now, maybe I am proficient. But yeah, at some point, like, I kept using it and I was like, no, this isn't a me problem. This is simply like my computer's bandwidth can't do this. But also, like, the NYU computers would crash too.
So then maybe just not use Avid.
Yeah.
At that point. You also gaffed for a scene in episode 2 and a scene in episode 5.
Yes.
How was that?
Yeah, I guess because episode 2 is out, I can talk more in detail about that one, and I will describe the episode 5 one a little bit, just like,
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, we shot in like a little studio. It was a really small room with black walls, and specifically for episode 2, it's when Sage is handed the business card, and in that like back room after she fumbles on stage. And so since then, I have gaffed a lot more, but I'm still pretty happy with what I did, considering like intermediate has pretty limited gear, small room, black walls, and like, you know, much to work off of in that room itself. The production design of the room is great though, so like that was good. So I guess I'm struggling a bit to like talk about the actual technical aspects of the gaffing for that episode, because it's a little bit far removed for me at this point, like in terms of time.
Yeah.
But I do remember feeling, because there was another scene in episode 5 that I gaffed right after that took place in the same backroom storage area, and it felt weird because these were pickup days, having to adapt to the style of the episode that was already set. It's also like, now I've worked on a lot of sets where it's like the gaffer switches off halfway through just because of availability, but typically the DP will stay the same, but the DPs were different for each of these episodes.
Yeah.
So it was really just like, with how many variables are changing between each episode, how do I adapt myself so that this one scene that I gaff doesn't look crazy different from everything else? But there was a lot of wiggle room there because of how many locations you guys had and how many of these like crazy colors and like tones and production design were brought into this, that it didn't feel crazy when, like, you know, in the second episode you go to this room and it's like this fluorescent lighting. Yeah. And she was just on a stage and it was like red and cyan, I think. Or no, sorry. That's the last one. But I do. But like the blues and the pinks, and then you go to this bright room, but it doesn't really matter because the next scene is like, you go back to the pinks. It's like forest and Sage talking. So it's not like crazy, but I think I built it up in my head to be like, I have to match the exact vibe. And like, I also didn't, and again, this is just like how it goes when you work with people who have different vibes and ideas, which is going to be always, is I didn't agree with some of the gaffing choices. And that's not even like, it was just like, that I was like, I don't know, I would have used a different color, and that it's, and a lot of those things were purely subjective, like most things in art are. So yeah, there was a lot of things where it's like, do I stay true to like kind of what I want to do? Do I do exactly what other people would want me to do? Do I split the difference and still have a little bit of my vibe while doing what other people want me to do? And I think I rested somewhere in the middle. I will say, especially for the scene that comes up in my in the 5th episode.
Yeah,
that one was, not to be biased, but like I really like how that ended up looking, and I also had to edit that scene, so I was like, so I looked at it for a long time. But the good thing about that scene as well is it is very different stylistically, the lighting, than a lot of the other scenes, but it makes sense because it is a pivotal moment of the episode, so I'm excited for people to watch that. But yeah, that was my experience gaffing. It was interesting. I mean, the personal like side of that is just I hadn't been on set with any of these like with this group of people together, but you guys had spent like every weekend together at that point, and I didn't feel like I was intruding. I was just like, there's a dynamic here that I don't fully understand or am not like a part of, and that's okay. It could just be like, it's just an adjustment. Yeah, but I still had fun.
That's so weird though, because because we were editing it, I think because we had taken, even though it was like a year before, but like we took like studio all together for the most part, like it still felt, at least from like my end, it felt like you needed to be there. I don't know, like
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and you're right, like the final scene, well, whatever. The scene that comes out is like, I did think it was like well lit compared to the like most of the show is very like a lot of pinks and a lot of like very strong like color choices, and then that one is it's very pretty.
I mean, can I be like candid and you can choose whether to cut after? I will say, like, I would feel bad not bringing this up. I think an issue with gaffing in general is when people aren't aware of the skin tones that they're shooting, and so that's the only reason I'm bringing this up, because I really wouldn't if it was like less deep. But you know, there was a lot of tones that I was like, why? Because I also colored the it as well, and the reason I'm not talking so much about the post process of coloring it is because I would consider I think that was the first thing I colored, so like I don't want to give advice on my process at that point. Like, I don't, like, there's nothing to take from that that's educational other than, like, don't do what I did. Because, like, I was just learning. And I also I felt like, because a lot of the actors were darker skinned, they weren't lit well enough for a lot of the shots. I think there was a lot of blue and purple tones that kind of just got lost. And it was really frustrating. I was like, because I feel like I'm conscious about that. Yeah, so that was also something I was keeping in mind when I was gaffing those 2 scenes, is I was like, listen, like, I'll adapt to what people want from me, but you will not have me doing it. Like, I will not be making the same mistake, especially after having looked at the footage and being like, why am I losing levels in, like, her face? Yeah. When the easy fix is, like, to have more light. Like, I know that's a very simple way of putting it, because gaffing isn't easy, but like, I would rather that like stuff looks really flat but you can still see the person's face than you try to do this moody stuff but you're not aware that your character has dark skin. So that was my frustration with some of it, but not all of it. Like, there are scenes that I do feel like were like, because that's not me being like, every scene except for the one that I gaffed looks like they didn't care. That's not true. I actually have, off the top of my head, many scenes that I really like the lighting of. When Forrest takes the card from stage and is like, and then she's like, oh, is he like, that's just like one of his lines, right? And they're having that conversation. That's very well lit. Like, I like the highlights that's happening. Like, I really like that one. Actually, most of the stuff that happened in the record shop, I feel like had a good even lighting happening. And that's not like me talking about the shadows or like the shaping of the light. It was just like, that's how I feel like you should be lighting your blue color. In terms of exposure. So those scenes were great. I think I had the most problem with the scenes that were in the house. Yeah, because there's, I can't even bring it up yet, but like there's a scene in like episode 5 that's like a little dull, like the beginning. That's funny. I was actually also thinking about the scene, I think in episode 3, where she comes home. That too. So that one we can talk about. I think that
And that's just like, I mean, like, we were all, I guess, like, as a whatever, like, we were all learning, but it is true, like, lighting people of color, and that's something that I learned that I didn't realize, like, I don't know, I guess mentally thought, I don't know, like,
well, so it's not even like to specify, I don't even feel like it's anybody's fault per se. I feel like we are just taught to not think about that. I feel like our references, so many of the references and the stills that we pull from films and all these things have white people and have white cinematographers. So it's like, yeah, you're pulling this reference and you want to use this still from this like really cool film and you want to replicate that lighting, but like it won't look the same. Right. And you have to be willing to make the changes to accommodate the people in your film. Yeah. So yeah, it's an adjustment. And I don't think, it's not like I was magically born with the ability to gaff with that in mind. I think I also just literally saw people not doing it. Yeah. And was like, why is that? Why is it not happening? Because that's not how. Right. Now, after all of like the everything, I mean, that's been like 2 years. Yes. So like since then you've been on like so many sets and edited so many things. Like slightly less. But I feel like you still, like, you edited your thesis, for instance, and then you re-edited my thesis. This is true. That's a funny story. And then you also have been doing like the short form recently. I'm talking too much, but like, that's fine. What is your experience been like since there were things that you've learned from like gaffing and from editing? I've learned a lot from gaffing recently because I think I always continue to learn a lot about camera from my proximity to lighting. I think there's so much math involved, or not math, but like a little bit. And it's not like I'm doing equations on set or anything, but I'm realizing how I feel like 2 years ago when I gaffed for Quarter Life, I would like throw up like a soft light and then like a bounce. And be like, wow, this is crazy. This is so advanced. And you know what? Like, it was big for me at the time. And now like the amount of work and building that goes into like one setup that people will never understand like what was going on. Like it's like a close-up shot and it lasts for like 2 seconds and you zoom out and you see the rest of the setup and it's like 20 million lights. It's not actually, but it's often just like 1 or 2 lights that have been so heavily shaped to create a shot that someone will only look at for 3 seconds. And that doesn't mean it's worth less. It just means that like someone cared so much about that shot that they were willing to put that much time and planning into it, which I think is nice. I don't know if that's a really vague answer about what I've learned about gaffing, but like you truly, I feel like, can't underestimate how big some setups are. And then in the reverse, I've also seen photos of like people lighting with just a window, you know? Wow. And it looks beautiful. I think Roger Deakins does that. Like, simplicity is also key. Like, not everything has to be really big, but it can be. And editing. My junior year is kind of a blur for me. I know I edited a few other people's intermediates. I never got around to editing my own, which is a regret of mine. But yeah, like, I mean, I've edited like music videos, and that's been great. I've edited some vertical content, which isn't as creatively fulfilling to me, but I think it's something that I still wanted to build a skill in. I guess what both gaffing and editing has taught me over the past couple of years is those are both, when I gaff, I'm very much reliant on the DP to move me in the right direction if I'm not going in the right direction. But I also understand that like I will also make my own suggestions on how I think that something should be, or how I feel like we could do something quicker. And I feel very similar about that relationship that I do to an editor-director relationship, where it's like, yeah, like I want you to tell me what you want, but if I think there's a better way to do it, I will also bring that up with you. Yeah. And that's most collaboration. Like you'll find those relationships all over like set, but I think it's taught me how to accommodate other people's views, how to see things from other people's point of view. But then how to also stay true to like what I want to do, and I guess also know what collaborations are good for me and what aren't. Yeah. So those are important skills I've learned / are still learning. Like though that will never stop for me. I'm very early on in my learning experience for both of these things. Like still you seem like you really, I don't like, out of like, I don't know, the people that I know, like you are on set like a lot.
a lot. And I mean, you've also had the thing of like you've directed, but you've also DP'd before, and like, but do you feel like all of the different roles that you have been in, have they like contributed to like your just overall process with each city?
Yes, I think I gaff differently now because I know what it feels like to DP. But more importantly, I feel like I DP differently because I know what it feels like to gaff.
Yeah.
I actually think that's the better like learning curve there, where it's like, I mean, respecting people is a big thing. I feel like it should be more common sense, but whatever. But like, I've worked with DPs where I'm like, I just think I'm getting disrespected right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, obviously I was never going to want to disrespect anybody in the first place. But I understand that, I try to understand the limits of like my G&E team more when I'm DPing, because I understand what it feels like to get asked to do an impossible task in like 10 minutes. So that's definitely helped me be more realistic. I think editing has made me a better DP because I know how the shots will cut together. I think every DP like understands just like how shots flow together, and like because it's a similar bracket of skills that editors have. That's also why editors make really good script supervisors too, which I've also done.
Yeah.
And no, so that's the thing is, once you start, like, I got asked recently if I feel like I'm wearing a lot of hats, but the thing is, I feel like especially in film, if you start doing one thing, there's always a department that goes like hand in hand with that. Yeah. And then you start doing that department, but there's another department there that goes hand in hand. Yeah. So it's like, I don't really feel like, I know maybe I have technical skills in different fields, but I don't feel like I have so many different skills that have nothing to do with each other. I think I have a personality type, or like not personality, but a set of skills that is required for a bunch of different roles, which I think if people like more people have that than you think, they just end up finding the thing that they like quicker. My thing is I haven't found the thing that I like more than other things, which is why I keep exercising these different skills. But a lot of people have transferable skills that they don't really think about. Yeah. Which is okay, because if you know you want to do editing and you don't really like being on set, then why would you want a script suit? Yeah. But if you're an editor and you do want to be on set, it's not easy, but like it's so much of a smaller step than you think to start script suiting. Yeah. And then, and I think just going to a university that gave me access to a bunch of equipment, it's like, why wouldn't I learn these things? If I already know I like visuals through editing, why wouldn't I want to learn how to use the camera? Why wouldn't I want to learn how to use lighting? And that's like just because I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I tried it all. But which is what like it's supposed to be, like college is supposed to be, and especially like with film, it helps you so much more. I feel I think more people. My takeaway from this is more people should do G&E. Yeah. Because you will stop asking your G&E team to do like crazy things if you understand what it feels like to be unloading a truck and then going on set for 12 hours and then being the person to pack the truck at the end of the day. Yeah. Everyone should give themselves the opportunity to wear every hat that they can at least once, because I think everyone would respect each other more. Yeah. If they understood what the other person was doing. Also, it's fun. True. If you're with the right people, it's fun. Oh, yeah. If you're with the right people. No, I was like, I'm sounding a little bit too positive. Yeah. Let me take this back down. Let me be realistic. No, especially with like the 12-hour days, like it does have to be with people, or you'd hope find your people. Yeah. This is very... I'm drinking water. This is very like insightful. I don't know. I try. Just like, cause I feel like at NYU you can get stuck in like one path, not stuck, but like you can, I don't know, just be on one path the whole time. And like, I feel like somewhat like that's kind of what I did. It was like I got stuck in writing and directing. And I did take like a camera 1 class, but I don't remember.
any of that.
And that's okay.
I
mean, at least you tried. That's the point.
Yeah.
Like, you learned it wasn't for you.
Yeah, because I can't. I don't. And my brain does not work like that. I don't know. It's very admirable that you were able to like tap into like so many different roles, and you're still doing it, and still like learning like so many
indecisive.
But that's like a good. I feel like it's going to benefit you so much more in like the long run of things when you do become like a professional editor and stuff, because like the editors, they don't typically go on set, and then they miss out on like, oh well, this is how this and this and this and this and this and this works and whatever. And also really like, because I also, so for Quarter Life, like I did like originally when we were editing, or before we got into like the edits, I pitched it to like 2 classes.
Yeah.
Like 2 of the editing classes. And it wasn't even just like they had a deficit, they just didn't want to.
Yeah, the way, so I actually didn't really know that, because I feel like the way it was phrased to me is that they had a deficit.
I wish it was. It would have been, well, I was so much better. It was so much better though, because working with the editors in the class, because there were 2 showrunners per class.
Yes, I did hear about it.
And the editors, I mean, no offense to them, the project got done, but the editors on the other show in our class, they were having a lot of issues because they were, I think because they were in a, I don't know why, actually, now that I think about it, if you're in a class, I feel like it would be easier.
Yeah, it's,
to do stuff.
I don't know what was going on that year, because typically the way that it has been run is the way I described, of like editing 2 to intermediate, editing 3 to advanced. Like, there was no reason, I think, for, I don't know if this is the right word, but like the disorganization of that year. Like, it doesn't really make that much sense to me. But my thought is, I think it worked out better for us, because like, I think something that I'm seeing lately as an issue is like a lack of accountability. I think that a lot of people are finding it easier, I don't really know the reason for this, but like easier to drop out of projects and not follow through. And I'm sure like everybody's been guilty of this. Like, I've done this too. Like, sometimes you simply put too much on your plate and then you realize that you have to back out of something. Yeah. So it's not like, but I do think it's a bigger problem than it has been, maybe. Or maybe it's just a big problem to me because we're like at the age where we're dealing with it. But I like was living with someone who was a big part of Quarter Life. Yeah. Like, I could not escape that if I tried. Yeah. Like, and to be clear, like, it was never like Janelle was gonna put like super like pressure on me or anything. Yeah. But it kind of like, I mean, like, I'm in the same friend circles as like people working on this project. If I don't do it, someone's gonna find me. Yes. And yeah, so having a personal attachment to people isn't always the best way to do projects, but I found that for me it is. Yeah. For me, I have a better output on projects, when I work with friends. Yeah, because there's more of a pressure to like, whereas like also I care. Yeah. Like I don't know. Like that's some people are like have a really, really professional mindset where it's like they almost prefer to not work with their friends, but I feel like my passion comes from supporting people that I want to like see succeed. Yeah. Which is usually my friends. Which is good. That's not to say I don't want to see other people succeed. It's just literally like, it's bias. I don't know. But like that, it's funny because I guess the other side of the coin, like the people who are like, I don't want to work with friends would be like, people are like, oh, I don't want to like screw them over or something. And people have creative differences. That's or true. They're too close, so they just like beef the whole time. Yeah. Which I don't personally understand. I don't either. How do you get into more of an argument? I don't know, but like that's people's personalities sometimes. That's true. But I can only really speak for myself. Yeah. And how I like to collaborate with people, and the people I like to collaborate with. Mm-hmm. Do you have any like advice for someone who is like at NYU or even outside of it that's trying to pursue like editing, or like gaffing, whatever? Editing, it's just like edit anything. I guess like there's such a multitude of, there's so much footage out there that if you ever want to practice something, you can. Like, once in high school, once I learned how to use Adobe, I was using it to edit like fan cams on Instagram.
That's so funny.
Which that's the most I will say about that. But but I can't stress how much that was necessary for me to do, because it made it fun for me to learn the software that I'd never used before. Mm-hmm. And so then when it came to doing like the nitty gritty stuff, like actually in college and editing people's films, I had a better understanding of the workspace because I had used it to like do stupid things, like, but it wasn't stupid because it worked out for me.
Yeah.
So just like, I don't know. What I'm doing right now is I do like event videography and like edit reels for people. And that's another thing. Like if you just want to edit like a recap of your month, that's editing. Like you can put like a little text, you can animate a little text, you can animate period. Like you can you can do a lot with editing. I would think, that's not to say it's the most accessible of things, but if you want a free software, use DaVinci. The free like version is good enough to edit on. I would say it's the most accessible of the other things that I do as a result of NYU. Because DPing and gaffing is, I think, do G&E on a set. Like if you're in school, grip on a set and you'll make your way up to gaffer. If you're on set and there's a lot of equipment, learn the equipment. You can also apparently go into rental houses. I don't know specific ones right now, but they allow you to camera test and allow you to do lighting tests and stuff. And that's a good way to learn lights if you don't have a program or aren't in a university that has them for you.
Yeah.
But I guess the DP thing is like, I feel like everybody just says to go shoot things, but I understand that there's a very big accessibility difference, and I don't really have a solution for that other than getting on set as an AC so that you can make connections with people who want to make other films. And so if you personally can't fund like for a camera or something like that, don't buy one. Just get on sets that will rent one for you.
Yeah.
Like, I guess it's just the age-old thing of like, you have to make connections, but you actually do.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I feel like that's like the number one,
yeah,
I don't know, biggest advice within the last 20 so years.
Yeah, but I can't stress enough the importance of horizontal networking, because everybody always talks about like finding someone that you can like, that can be your mentor, but your friends will also, you and your friends will also elevate each other if you're all working on projects and you bring different skills to the table. So I feel like so much of the work I've gotten has been because my friends have wanted me to work with them. Yeah. So when they've gotten something, they've been like, why don't you come on with me on this? And then it's just like more opportunities for all of us together.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you for coming on.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for viewing. Please like, please subscribe, please share. Don't be a fool in school because it's not cool. And thank you for coming on.
Yes, it was so difficult. It's not like we lived together.
It's not like we... What? It's
not like this is our couch.
No, literally. Bye.
Bye.